Hello, yeah, great and glorious NickDutch here yet again. Today I want to talk about alternative medicine. The reason I want to just pop on the camera right now is because I've just been through watching the Penn and Teller episode on alternative medicine that's been shown on YouTube by user JAL1337, I think it was. And it had a number of different effects upon me. The first and foremost effect was to entertain me, and that's what the show was there for. So that was good. The second thing it pointed out was the fact that a lot of people in the alternative medicine world don't actually know the meanings of the words they're using, which is also important for people to realize and know. And it also provides an extra public service type of effect in the fact that it stops people from taking alternative medicine too seriously. I mean, get real. If someone falls from the 7th story of a tower block and they hit the ground and they're still alive, but their arms and their legs are all mangled and broken and they're bleeding to death, you don't have someone running through the crowd shouting, "Out of my way! I'm an acupuncturist!" It doesn't happen that way. Let's try and put this into perspective. Health food shops, what are they there for? They're there for people who are already healthy, who essentially don't want to get sick. Alright, it's another way in which the upper classes preserve their longevity and the rest of it for as long as possible. They're also very useful for people who are into sports and go down to the gymnasium and need to have the right diets. They can then buy large tubs of protein powder so they can then build the muscle that they need to be able to do their sports. So it does have another positive function in that respect. Health food shops are also good because they do provide the vitamins and minerals which you might need if you've already found out you're deficient in certain vitamins and minerals. But if we were to think about everything else, is that all essential? Well, not necessarily essential. However, the thing which I disagreed with in the Penn and Teller show about alternative medicine was that there was only very little scientific research added to it. There was only very little real practical analysis put into the whole show. They gave one example of a particular form of alternative healer who was using sound as a means of providing healing. Well, sound does have an effect upon the body and the brain. And we know this. I mean, anyone who's experimented with brainwave entrainment technology will know that sound does directly affect the brain. And also pitch would also directly affect the brain as well, and the brain does directly affect the body. It could be argued that the particular therapist in question has not spent enough time medically studying the influence of sound upon the brain waves, upon the flow of blood through the circulation as a direct result of certain forms of sound, the psychology, neurology, and biology of sound. Yeah, we could say that. And so, therefore, the therapist was using more mystical ideas, like one particular sound or tuning fork was the energy of the sun, which, from the point of view of an occultist, you would say that the word the sun refers to a certain rank, character, type, feeling, or thought. So it is probable, not possible, but probable that this sound therapy could have an influence upon the body and the brain. So therefore, if used intelligently, it could prove to have some benefits. However, of course, Penn and Teller discredited this, because I suppose they were focusing more on the bad use of the English language that particular therapist had. They were focusing more on the pseudoscience that was put into the sound therapy rather than any science put into the sound therapy. So we've got to even take Penn and Teller's bullshit TV show with a pinch of salt, because it's only focusing on some aspects and not the whole thing. Yes, I will agree that a lot of alternative therapy practitioners do charge a lot of money. And this is for the same reason that health food shops seem to exist, namely to provide more health of body and mind for people who've essentially got money. Myself, as a professional tarot reader, I know as a fact that the greatest benefit that I'm giving is a variety of counseling therapy with someone like myself who can think, reason, understand and empathize with people who've got problems. And that's essentially where a lot of the benefits can happen. And the fact that I've got a hell of a lot of knowledge inside me, which has been accumulated through some forms of self-development, going through hard shit in my life, getting myself into a hole and then having to work myself out of it, means that I can provide some very real benefits. And therefore I actually say on my profiles that my readings are based upon reason and rationality. I actually say that because essentially it's true, as well as the fact that I've got some understanding that under some circumstances, the telepathic precognitive aspect can have an effect, and I've got testimonials to demonstrate that. But that's essentially the way I leave it, and I'm keeping my rates low so I can provide this to more people and hopefully do more good to more people. It's not just a question of energies and all the rest of it. The Penn and Teller TV show also mentions chi being the invisible spiritual energy which has an impact upon the body and the mind. If you've ever been very, very ill and had spiritual healing, admittedly I did it the cheap way via a spiritualist church rather than spending like a couple of £100 or dollars on some guy in an expensive therapy room. You do notice there is a change. From one point of view, whether it's just a question of there being someone who's giving you attention and giving you help and healing for just you being there, or whether it isn't, is more or less beside the point. However, one time I actually got beaten up, had my face rearranged by some guy, and I had a whopping great black eye. And I then got treated by an electrotherapy practitioner, and the bruise just went after the first session. So that was pretty amazing. So that also shows that some amazing results can actually happen under some circumstances. I would also say that it's not fully understood under what those circumstances are. And yes, because of the overtly mystical language, overtly New Agey language, there's lots of people out there who are actually con artists, which is basically a sad indictment on the New Age industry. It's a sad indictment on the individuals who are the practitioners rather than the actual influence of the factors involved in actual healing. So my analysis of the Penn and Teller show was, it was great entertainment, but it really did not actually answer any questions. I feel that I suppose it poses more questions about the attitude of Penn and Teller to this particular phenomenon. But yes, it's also brilliant that they have highlighted the fact that maybe some therapies don't work the way that you want them to. Now, if you've got cancer, for instance, first of all, go to a regular doctor, go and get regular medicine and all the rest of it. Then once you've got better, then you can go to your spiritual healers afterwards and try and recover from the effects of the chemo. That would be a good idea. That would be a good way of doing it. But if you got cancer, you don't go and spend all your money with a holistic therapist to see where you can go from there. Now, the other aspect of alternative medicine is that of herbalism. Now, strictly speaking, herbalism is not alternative therapy because plants contain chemicals, and different ways of preparing plants, even at home, will have a different influence upon the type of chemicals that are released and that you can then take into your body. So, regular herbalism is in fact not an alternative therapy. It is a regular medical therapy, just using herbs as the sources of the drugs in question. If you were to go back to the writings of Dr. Culpeper, there's a lot of New Agey and astrological language there because they didn't have enough full understanding at that time, so they used astrology as a way of explaining how things work. But in medical terms, herbalism is actually a medical science, so we've got to be able